Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Moore, Director of the Air Force Real Property Agency.
I'll read my speech if you don't mind. I'm pretty nervous up here, and I hope you'll bear with me. But in the interest of tradition, I'm going to thank everyone first for attending this ceremony, for taking time to celebrate, and then to kind of roll in the next generation of Air Force civil engineering. But I'll also follow another tradition established by General Uhlberg and Chief Doyle of being brief. No. Because I'm going to take time to recognize and thank the professionals in the Air Force Real Property Agency, the Air Force General Counsel's Office, and other agencies who I've had the pleasure of working with these past 4 years. As our distinguished guests know, it is an awesome thing to be a member of a hugely successful team that has redefined excellence, infused business principles in all that it does, built public-to-public and public-to-private partnerships before those terms ever became popular, and set and achieved the highest goals. As Ms. Ferguson said, less than 8 years ago, the late Mr. Fred Kuhn provided input into the difficult but right decision that led to AFRIPA's move from Roslyn to San Antonio. Not surprisingly, very few people made the move. Picture, if you can, Jeff Dahm and 10 of his very best friends boarding a Texas-bound bus and arriving at a darkened old warehouse crammed with boxes, an assortment of well-used furniture and equipment of every size and shape. At that exact moment, Jeff, his small band of Texas heroes, and a few others scattered across the United States from Sacramento to Loring formed the nexus of an agency that today provides its clients a full spectrum of innovative real property portfolio management skills. In just a few years, those few dozen grew into an agency comprising 235 government service and contract support personnel of nearly every profession, from IT, FM, real estate, program management, engineers, and yes, even lawyers, who deliver world-class support to the Air Force and our local community. Sam, are you here? Are you keeping the over-under on how many times I say world-class? They kid me at the office that when I talk about AFRIPA, I use the term world-class so many times. During my first intro briefings 4 years ago, I will never forget hearing, and I'll quote, "If you ever wanted to make a long-term, lasting contribution, change, or lead the Air Force in making changes, then this agency, AFRIPA, is the place to be. And these people, they will be the ones who will do it." It was said pretty emphatically then, and I'm proud to say AFRIPA stayed true to that statement by doing 5 things: setting aggressive standards and achieving its goals, creating and empowering diverse teams of committed professionals, leading and promoting change across all of its programs, devoting resources to the development of tomorrow's leaders, and finally, adopting traditionally successful business practices such as being responsive to our clients, taking risk when warranted, learning from our mistakes, and promoting open communication with our clients, our partners, and our stakeholders. We all know it's no accident when an organization surpasses the challenging, far-reaching strategic goals and visions set by inspirational leaders such as Mr. Yonkers, Ms. Ferguson, and Mr. Bridges. It takes a team with a suite of flexible, comprehensive, executable plans, leveraging all available resources, whether it's money or people or partnerships with other agencies or businesses, and then effectively communicates those plans to all the stakeholders across the Air Force to ensure buy-in. The Air Force benefits today and will benefit for many decades into the future because AFRIPA was committed to investing in innovative real property solutions and expanded use of business practices, built a highly trained, motivated team proficient in planning, programming, and execution, set new standards and obligations, enabling efficient use of scarce resources. Promoted and expanded use of creative, cost-effective contract vehicles, such as performance-based contracts and DoD's first privatized environmental cleanup. Fixed, long-standing Air Force portfolio liabilities, such as the tens of millions of dollars mentioned by Ms. Ferguson saved in our Section 801 housing program exit strategy. Developed a plan to maximize beneficial use of underutilized properties so that we can meet Mr. Yonkers' $5 billion goal that so far has returned $230 million of real value to the Air Force. And finally, made an agency-wide commitment to the recruitment and development of a diverse, creative, engaged team of professionals across all functional areas. Whew, pretty much of a mouthful so far, huh? But I'm not done. All that said, if they had a metric for it, AFRIPA would lead the Air Force in being a part of the local communities and in a part of every member's life. I'm reminded of smelling pizza in the office a very late Friday night in my very first month down here in San Antonio, and finding our entire strategic communication team pitching in to help one member prepare for the next week's upcoming conference, or a 3 a.m. discovery on a hotel lobby couch of one of our public affairs specialists who fell asleep still trying to make the next day's NPL delisting ceremony even more momentous than the stark fact that the AFRIPA team had achieved a huge cleanup milestone. But even though the work was hard, demanding, and seemingly endless, as an agency we still found time for fun. Who will ever forget Jeff Dom's impersonation of Adam Antwine at Halloween? Or Hillary Nabb's Cinderella outfits, or finally Ted Neffendorf's Rodeo Week clown suits. Other AFRIPA events included 10 of us jumping out of a perfectly good airplane one Saturday morning, 7 of us running a half marathon, earning more than $10,000 in donations for the cure of leukemia, and the more than twice that number who made an early morning drive to Austin to support the runners. The day 30 of us made and served lunch at the San Antonio Haven for Hope, or the golf tournament we hosted that yielded $600 in proceeds for the wounded warriors. Our Earth Day activities that cleaned stretches of the San Antonio River, cleaned, restored, and repaired public park facilities, completely refurbished the landscape fronting St. John Birchman School, and last but not least, the education provided the public, especially young students, during tours of our environmental cleanup projects. Finally, no words can describe a team that honors our military and civilian members, past or present, by standing together on 36th Street, honoring our fallen heroes as they return for final interment, who made a special effort on the 6th of June to bury an AFRIPA coin on Omaha Beach, or who did everything imaginable for our bereaved families of Walter Peck and Jeff Blevins. Today, the Air Force once again finds itself needing an extraordinary team, committed to excellence, adept at performing in times of change, operating in a business environment, visionary in executing its mission. All hallmarks of our AFRIPA men and women. The stand-up of the new agency is the right thing for the Air Force. And no matter where the AFRIPA members find themselves, your job is to keep doing your job just as you have been, by continuing to improve the execution of your programs, looking for new ways to do your job, staying flexible, leading change, and maximizing resources to support our warfighters. So, Tim, Joe, when AFCEC stands up, I'm proud to say Air Force civil engineers will be markedly better, as it won't have gained just 235 of the best IT, FM, real property, portfolio management, program management, or legal professionals anywhere in the government. It will also have gained a team who just flat makes things happen. you are fortunate to get them. As for me personally, I hope you are as proud as I am of all you have accomplished. To paraphrase the songwriter Bob Seger, some of you may have to ask your mom and dad who that is, I asked you to go 8 miles a minute for months at a time, breaking all the rules that would bend. You did that and more. Rarely does an Air Force senior leader have the honor of a lifetime working with the caliber of professionals comprising the AFRIPA team. So, as we tip our hats in memory of that team, now is not a bad time to begin a new tradition. So I know it won't come as any surprise to hear from me that I'm announcing the Installation Center of Excellence first PMR tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Ms. Ferguson and Mr. Moore will now perform the inactivation of the Air Force Real Property Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. The Field Operating Agency, Headquarters, Air Force Real Property Agency is inactivated effective 1 October 2012 by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Thank you, Ms. Ferguson and Mr. Moore. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please allow me to read a brief history of the Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment. The Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment was formally inaugurated on 3 November 1991 at Brooks Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas, as a field operating agency for the Air Force Civil Engineer, and was known as the Air Force Center for Environmental Excellence, or AFCEC. Before AFCEC was established, the Air Force did not have a centralized office to assist Air Force commanders with their installation's environmental and construction programs. The organization was formed by consolidating a variety of the Air Force personnel and assets located throughout the country, including several Air Force regional civil engineer staff functions. The center originally offered a full-service array of environmental cleanup contracts. Its initial focus was the 19 installations affected by the 1988 and 1990 base realignment and closure process. In October 2007, the center was renamed the Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment and officially assumed management of the Air Force's military construction, family housing, military construction, and environmental restoration account programs. AFCEC's most recent change was a physical move from Brooks City Base to the Kelly Annex area of the Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland in July 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Terry Edwards, Director of the Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment.
Well, Secretary Yonkers and Lieutenant General Feder, distinguished guests, and each of you members of the AFCEC, AFRIPA, and I think there's a few faces out there from our friends at AFCEC teams, welcome. It's really, truly an honor for me to be here today, and I look forward to the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you as we prepare to inactivate the Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment. In July of 1991, the Air Force Center for Environmental Excellence stood up. At that time, I was a young Air Force civil engineer captain and eager for new experiences just coming from Alaska. That fall, I joined the AFCEC team and found a new home. For more than 21 years, AFCEC has been on point, providing safe, functional, sustainable installations for our airmen and their families. And that has been made possible by the contributions of each of you and those who have come before. From our early focus on environmental stewardship, the AFCEC mission grew and evolved to meet the needs of the Air Force. Over the years, the center evolved to become the go-to team for construction, for housing, strategic sourcing, asset management, and an expanded environmental mission. Today, we are taking another leap forward, and it's an evolutionary leap. The Air Force Civil Engineer Center is built on the expertise and the excellence and experience that AFCEC and the other agencies have delivered for many, many years. By blending our skills and capabilities with those of the Air Force Real Property Agency and the Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency, this new agency that we call AFCEC will have the tools, the expertise, and the people the Air Force needs to successfully execute our missions. Of course, AFCEC's success rests in the hands of those people that execute the mission. As a senior leader, it's my job to ensure the AFCEC team can handle the challenges that lie ahead. AFCEC will demand technical expertise, innovative thinking, unflinching professionalism, and a rock-solid commitment to customer satisfaction in support of airmen and their families. Joe Shabika, I am proud to report the AFCEC team is ready. They are armed with the experience, expertise, skills, and talents that you will need as you take this agency forward to build ready engineers and deliver critical installation support to our warfighters. And they are ready to be part of what will be a remarkable organization. As I transition to my new position at AFMC, I'll be watching. And if you screw it up, I'll give you a call. But I know you won't. To the AFCEC team, I offer this thought. I consider myself a lucky man. I have had the privilege of working more than 2 decades in one of the finest organizations that exists in the United States Air Force. When I look back, I see a legacy of success and achievement second to none, and I am proud to be part of that legacy. As you focus on attaining and maintaining excellent installations in support of the warfighters, I know you will continue to honor our proud heritage that began in 1991. I know the people who once wore the AFCEC emblem with pride will be AFCEC's ambassadors of excellence. I know you will build to last and lead the change. And I know that AFCEC under Joe Shabika's leadership will succeed because of each of you, people who will settle for nothing less than excellence in service to our Air Force and our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. General Byers and Mr. Edwards will now perform the inactivation of the Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. The Field Operating Agency, Headquarters, Air Force Center for Engineering and the Environment is inactivated, effective 1 October 2012, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Thank you, General Byers and Mr. Edwards. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please allow me to read a brief history of the Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency. The Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency traces its history back to 1966 with the formation of the Civil Engineering Construction Operations Group at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. 2 years later, the new Civil Engineering Center incorporated CEOCOG's readiness and mobility functions with the pavements and other specialized teams. In 1972, the Civil Engineering Center moved to Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida, and became the Air Force Civil Engineering Center. And in 1977, the Air Force combined the responsibilities of engineering and services to form the Air Force Engineering and Services Agency, which was renamed in 1978 as the Air Force Engineering and Services Center. In the early 1990s, Services and Civil Engineering Laboratory were split off from the organization, while the disaster preparedness and explosive ordnance disposal functions were welcomed into the civil engineering community. The organization became a field operating agency, and the name was changed to the Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency on 1 August 1991, and later became the Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency in 1994. In 2004, AFCEC added Sustainment, Restoration, and Modernization Mission, and the Air Force Facility Energy Center was established in 2007, emphasizing the importance of energy to the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Commander, Civil Engineer Support Agency, Colonel David Reynolds.
Good morning, and bear with me. 2 years ago when I took command, I did not need these glasses to read a speech. Time takes a toll. Mr. Yonkers, Lieutenant General Feder, distinguished visitors, men and women of AFCEC and AFRIPA, it's a pleasure to be up here today. It's an honor to be up here today, but it's also a very bittersweet day. No commander can ever tell you the good day to give up command. But today I will relinquish command and look forward to a bright future for a new organization, AFCEC, the Air Force Civil Engineers Center. From the AFCESA perspective, it's a bit of a step back in time in namesake-wise, but it's a completely different way of doing business from what we've seen in the past. I'm honored to be here and see some of the forerunners from the AFCESA lineage sitting here today, but I'm also honored to be here to be part of this great ceremony with this new team of leadership, Mr. Shabika, the team that's going to be leading this new FOA forward in quite the adventure as I see it going forward. Let me just say a few things about my team at AFCESA, the men and women at Tyndall and at Travis Air Force Base who work for AFCESA. Come to work every day focused on how they are going to support civil engineers around the world. Every day they're out there making sure that they're providing the best they can in the world of readiness, energy, water, and operations. And as I look out, my view, much different from your view, but I'm looking out at that civil engineering world as I see water towers, pavements, fire trucks, heavy equipment, and EOD equipment. We at AFCESA look forward to folding in now with the AFCEC team, and the folks in Panama City look forward to joining with this team in San Antonio so we can continue to advance our focus in readiness, energy, and operations and make this new organization even better. Over the years, our readiness folks have enabled civil engineers worldwide to execute expeditionary missions from Vietnam to the Gulf War, the Balkans, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The firefighters, the EOD technicians, the emergency management experts, and the expeditionary engineering specialists have kept the warfighter in mind in everything they do. When I think about the 23 civil engineering men and women who've given their lives since 9/11, it only reinforces the importance of what AFCESA has done in the past and what AFCEC will do in the future. Someone asked earlier today about have we looked at IMCOM as we look at how we do business in the future? And we have honestly looked at that. But we are different from IMCOM. We are also different from our Navy partners. As I move in and talk about our operations division and what our operations troops, our airmen do, our blue suit or our blue collar workers out in the field do to train those airmen, that does set us apart from MCOM. It sets us apart from the Army and the Navy because you are training our airmen in their day-to-day jobs. And our operations division focuses that on every day, how to make sure those airmen are ready to deploy and go take those lessons learned and training they received on the readiness side of the house, couple that with their day-to-day jobs, and you go become the best engineers, the engineers of choice across the AOR. As we move forward from operations side, we take a look also at energy and water. Our energy team has been second to none. We've led the way in OSD, but we're not ready to rest on our laurels. And I think as we move forward now with this new FOA, we'll see even greater collaboration with the former AFRIPA team on EULs, with the former AFCEC team and new construction techniques and procedures in energy. But we will move forward to continue to help the United States improve its energy posture and help the Air Force come up with the most economical ways to use its energy and reduce our burden on the petroleum. Finally, AFCEC has a well-earned reputation for professionalism and support. I'm sure this reputation will continue in the future as we partner with our colleagues at AFCEC and AFRIPA and move forward to AFCEC. I look forward to a bright new future very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Reynolds. Colonel Reynolds will now relinquish command of the Field Operating Agency, Headquarters, Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. Colonel David A. Reynolds is relieved from duty as Commander, Headquarters, Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency, effective 1 October 2012, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. At this time, you will witness the furling of the Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency flag, symbolizing the ending of one era and the beginning of a new chapter in its legacy. Thank you, Colonel Reynolds. Mr. Sabika, will you please join General Byers? At this time, you will witness the unfurling of the Air Force Civil Engineer Center flag, symbolizing the joining of the three legacy forward operating agencies. This redesignation will result in a new organization. The mission of the Air Force Civil Engineer Center is, the mission of the Air Force Civil Engineer Center is to provide ready engineers, engineering and real property solutions, and emergency response services that enable sustainable, highly effective power projection platforms to support the warfighter. Its vision statement reads, the Air Force Civil Engineer Center will be a trusted and indispensable mission partner to support major commands, combatant and installation commanders by ensuring installations have full capability to execute assigned missions. We will deliver agile, efficient, and innovative engineering and real property products and services that will enable execution of Air Force priorities. General Byers and Mr. Shabika will now perform the redesignation of the Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency. Attention to orders. The Headquarters Air Force Civil Engineer Support Agency, an field operating agency of the United States Air Force, is redesignated as the Headquarters Air Force Civil Engineer Center, effective 1 October 2012, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Thank you, General Byers. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And I present to you the Director, Air Force Civil Engineers Center, Mr. Joe Shabika.
Thank you. Okay, you guys may as well get used to me because I hate going off a script, so here we go. Mr. Yonkers, General Feder, General Byers, thank you very, very much. I'm very humbled to be here today and accept this directorship of the AFCEC, Air Force Civil Engineers Center. What a wonderful, beautiful day, an environment, and a great group of folks that we have here at San Antonio, and to the men and women of the AFCEC team that are listening in out at Tyndall. I thank you very, very much, and I will do everything in my individual power to lead this organization openly, fairly, and to ensure that we contribute to the mission of the United States Air Force. Within hours of coming into Texas Tuesday of last week, I was warmly welcomed. My new deputy, General Vince Cerrone, his wife Betsy, children Elaine and Joel came over to meet the moving truck, and that began the adventure here in San Antonio, Texas, as we started to offload, put household goods into a house. We worked hard. Betsy, I think we gave back about a third of the boxes that we had coming on that truck back right onto the moving van, empty, and got ourselves underway. And so it's been a warm, warm welcome here. And as I got the opportunity a few weeks back to spend some time here with the AFCEC team and the AFREPA team to get some in-briefs and understanding of what it is that you've been doing in terms of mission support and responsibility, it was, very impressed upon me the professionalism of the team, the crowd, and the amount of caring that each of you have in terms of the products that you deliver for our United States Air Force. I'm looking forward to heading down to Tyndall here in just a few hours. We're gonna head down there for ceremonies tomorrow, and to get the opportunity to spend another day and a half with the team down at Tyndall to see what is going on and has been happening in the AFCEC team. And I know that Dave Reynolds will do a great job in terms of providing me support there. So we start today kind of as day one of AFCEC. We certainly come from a rich, rich legacy and a rich heritage that was shared, that is, across the history, and then from each of the individual leaders that have stepped up and shared a little bit of their own perspective on what it is that, has been the characteristics of the culture, the environment, and the expressed specific products that you all have come to deliver to support our airmen. And so with that, under the leadership of Bob Moore, Terry Edwards, Dave Reynolds, absolutely myself and my new deputy, General Vince Cerrone, are blessed to be able to have an organization and that we are pulling together that comes with such a strong foundational enterprise. And so on behalf of myself and Vince, to Bob, to Terry, to Dave, we thank you for the work that you have done. You fundamentally have made my job, our job, collectively easier as we work forward now to stand up AFCEC. So the job that I see that I have as the director and the leader here is really to empower all of you to do what it is that you do best and what you do better than anyone else in the United States Air Force, anywhere else in the Department of Defense. This team, I will coin the world-class phrase that Bob Moore had earlier, is truly the team that gets things done and makes things happen, and that's very much what we have to be about today. There was a question during the town hall this morning that said, why the FOA? Why are you pulling these things together? Mr. Yonkers and General Feder, I thought, did a phenomenal job answering that. But it's truly about, being in time and place of where we find ourselves as United States Air Force, and where we find ourselves as men and women, as public servants that support the Department of Defense, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines that are deployed in harm's way around the world, that we have to come to this point and be able to provide them the products that they need to do their job more efficiently and more effectively. And so it's about change. And there's an opportunity, if we look at the individual collective strengths that we have had across AFCESA, AFC, and AFREPA, and we can truly integrate those under one organization so that we're vertically and horizontally integrated, the power that we will have to be that one-stop shop to deliver those products and capabilities to support our airmen that are out there in harm's way. So this organization, as we stand here today, as I stand before you, and as I address each and every one of you that's here in this room and those that are listening on the VTC that can't be with us here today, in terms of the team AFCEC, and then the MAJCOMs that are also out there that are primary customers that we support, and yes, Mr. Edwards, I will accept those phone calls from Air Force Materiel Command. You know, our job is to listen to those customers, all right, and provide them the products and the capabilities they need. And so we stand at a fundamental point in time and a crux in history where we have the opportunity to shape an organization. Many of the organizations we retired today weren't that old in terms of Air Force life, and so some of you have been this path before where you got to shape and mold an organization. Today, each and every one of you, the 1,640 or so that make up Team AFCEC, are in that fundamental position to shape what this organization is going to be and how it is going to come together. I will be seeking your inputs. General Cerrone, the leadership team, we will be wanting to hear from you, and we will grow, guide, and shape this from the bottoms up of the organization, and we will provide leadership and direction so that we can go forward from the top down of the organization. But it is truly going to be a team effort. It's going to be us working, listening to what it is in terms of the products that our customers need, what it is in terms of our air staff team and support, the visions and the goals and the directions that they have in terms of how we can pull these things together. If you go back a couple of weeks ago, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Mark Welsh, made some comments on the Air Force birthday talking about, you know, the fundamental principles of what put the United States Air Force into being. The responsibility is, just as I'm talking here, is we're marshaling an aircraft going by right now. I'll pay that pilot later. Timing could not have been better there. But that sound you hear right there is how the Air Force flies and fights. Okay, and that was why the Air Force was put into being, was to deliver air power, deliver responsive forces. Today, we not only provide, you know, support to the fight in terms of air power, but we also have space and cyberspace that we have to provide mission-ready capabilities to. The Air Force does that from its installations. We fly and fight from our bases. We fly and fight in terms of what we bring to the cyber fight from our installations. And with that, the men, women of AFCEC are the folks that enable that mission to happen every day. And that is fundamentally what it is that we have to be about and the product that we have to be able to deliver. And that is what I commit to you today to do. And so to Mr. Yonkers, to General Feder, I assure you that we as an organization will continue to deliver mission-ready engineers that can get the job done. To our MAJCOM customers and others that are out there that are listening as well, your needs will be heard, and we will be there, as General Byers shared earlier, in terms of that one phone call away to deliver the products and capabilities that they need. AFCEC is the organization that is going to continue to get that done. So collectively, take a pause. Look around, drink in this moment, because we are at a historical time in our United States Air Force and in the Air Force civil engineer world, so that we have the opportunity to absolutely build to last and lead to change. And that is what I will commit to you that I will deliver to this organization, and my Deputy General Vince Cerrone will also step up to lead that change and drive. Thank you very much for coming out today and being a part of this. I look forward to getting to know and meeting each and every one of you, working side by side with you as we grow this organization. Take care. God bless the men and women of AFCEC. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shabika. General Byers, Mr. Moore, Mr. Edwards, and Colonel Reynolds, please join Mr. Shabika at center stage. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Please stand and join us in singing the Air Force song. The words are located in the back of your program and remain standing for the departure of our official party. Thank you for attending, and please join us at the side of the hangar for refreshments, and have a great Air Force Day.
Should we do that again?